just be able to start, and we'll probably be fine. Are we going? We're
Yeah,
going. We're good.
we can clip some things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we should be fine. It's not gonna. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
Everyone, if you're catching up with us right now, this is going to be episode 10 of the Dark Heart podcast on 7/30/2019 in the year of our beautiful Lord, whichever one you follow. I've got recurring guests now. Ivan with me. It looks like we're about to have a game. Much like,
Kind of a game.
yeah,
It's just more of a showpiece.
exactly. Like the game of life. We're always playing that one, though. Holy shit, man. It's been a while. What's going on?
It has been a little bit of time. But we've what did we do? Today was actually very eventful.
Yeah,
What did you enjoy about today? Or
okay.
explain what we did today.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, months have gone by since last time a podcast has occurred, and you,
Was it February?
February, that's correct, and friend Thor joined us for that podcast on a very rainy day, early spring, late winter. What would you call that? Is
Yeah,
there a
late
winter in
winter.
SoCal?
It
Does
was late
SoCal have a
winter.
winter? Is that a thing here?
Yeah.
Global warming sucks. It's a hot planet. Let's get used to it. Um, no, we got together today, I think, to riff on a lot of life events. I think probably for both of us. And in terms of locations where this occurred, it was, what did you call it? Place Requiem?
Requiem. Yeah.
Requiem. My cues get all messed up here. It's an interactive.
Please look at it. It's pretty amazing.
It's everything you want social media to do for you. We actually got in and got to meet two really fantastic human beings. What would be Chris and Tina?
Chris and Tina.
And we played, what was that game? Dixie?
Dixit.
Okay, my pardon.
No, no, no.
That's a song of the Confederacy. My pardon. I'm all messed up.
No, it's okay.
Sorry, I've just had one beer and a lot of ramen.
Oh, the
The
ramen.
ramen was. We'll get to the ramen. Um, but I think needing to catch up had to happen because it's been a while. Work takes up all of our lives. Is this a Harry Potter set?
Yeah.
Holy! I just caught on to that.
This was given to me by my good friend Michael Oliver, and I never got to open it up, and so he.
That
No.
kid, he's a theater beauty. We need him. Is he a theater kid?
He's
He's a
definitely
kid.
a theater kid.
We need to get him on the podcast. I had Isaac on. He's a theater kid. I love him. Um, Episode 7, I believe, with Nate. But no, we checked out Requiem, and we, I think, got to enjoy the best use of social media where a location which I don't think you'd normally find except by word of mouth or social media, was somewhere where we met up. It was very much the kind of place where you're going to take videos, take pictures, be interactive. It's very much an interactive setting, and I think it's very much a place where you would play games.
Yeah.
Tabletops, definitely. Coffee, teas, snacks. I thought the setting was wonderful. The people were fantastic. I think I can't say this enough. I think it's everything that's great with social media that it brings people together, but then once you're there, you can kind of dissociate from the technology that we're always got in our pockets and we're
Yes.
always on, and instead we have something to be human and interactive.
Most definitely.
And so I think I really appreciated that.
I think they do a really good job in this particular coffee house because it gives you an opportunity to just come up to random people that are willing to open up. They have this really good system where they have these cones and it's red and green, and depending on how you put the cone, it gives people the opportunity to come up to you and talk, or if you're going to play a game or anything like that, or if you just want to um, just work and just kind of be by yourself or anything like that, you switch it over to the red cone, and yeah, you just work and people don't interrupt you. So
I enjoyed the vibes most of all. Very, very cool people.
yeah,
You're right. I mean, just the relaxed ones, even the more outgoing ones, are very cool.
yeah,
Um, it was a really great setting to meet up again and talk, I think.
yeah,
And I think we had some things to really get out. And once we did that, I think it was a really wonderful experience to get out. And I very often I hesitate to say yes to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out, especially since February, has been a whirlwind for me. It's been very uncomfortable, but I've been saying yes more recently to doing things. And holy shit, like I was rewarded so much tonight. I think we were going to go to a park, and that turned
We were
into
gonna.
amazing ramen. Where
Yeah,
was that?
it was. That's we jump from plan to plan. We're like, we have this really good plan, and all of a sudden, just something else happens. You're like, oh, that's a really good plan. Let's go ahead and do that. So we went to the coffee shop. We met up, and then we talked about the situations, that are happening in our lives and whatnot. And uh, do you going back into that? Let's just right there. Do you
Sure.
feel like you were able to express the way that the proper way that you feel about the situations that are happening right now?
I feel that to the best of my ability, I was able to, and I think that the role you played in, in no way controlling the situation, but
Mm-hmm.
you definitely did take a kind of a devil's advocate
Mm-hmm.
approach,
Yeah.
and I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the best people in my life have done that for me,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm still. I would come back to you to talk to you again.
Okay.
I would come back and talk to a few of the other people who've had some tough talk in the same regard.
Yeah.
But so I needed that today.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'm glad. I mean, it's. I think there's a lot of situations where people feel like they're not being completely heard, and so you need to be able to have that type of person be able to say, hey, what's going on?
Hmm.
Tell me, is something that I can help you out with, or is there something that you need to bounce ideas back or staying? I think there's a lot just just for being adults, and
Yeah.
we go to work and we come home and we just don't have the time in order to be able to speak to somebody, and you have a lot of depression that comes out of that. And I feel like that's been more reoccurring as of late, especially in my life, and so like I see it constantly with a lot of friends and with a lot of family members, and it's just constant. It's like, hey, I just don't have anybody to talk to, or I
Hmm.
don't know what to say, or X, Y, and Z. And so it's nice to be able to say, hey, you know what, let's go have some coffee. You can tell me exactly, what you're feeling, what's going on. I can give you my point of view on the situation, and then you can just go from that. And so like, but you need to be able to have somebody that you can. That's another reason why I was like, if at any point I was telling you something that was making you feel uncomfortable, please let me know, so that I can, not put you in that situation. But at the same time, it's like I feel like we are scared mm, of hearing the things that we know are in our heads out loud.
Yes. So that's exactly what I
You
mean. Where
know?
I mean that. I mean it's the most correct phrase. The devil's advocate aspect of a friendship, I think, is required. You got to have that person or people in your life, or you just have to be strong enough to hear that from another person,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what's going to happen when you run into someone who's not your friend in the real world, and life isn't kind.
Well, even something like that. So one of the best advice and one of the greatest advice comes from people that are maybe not supposedly your friends, but just people that are just strangers. So like acquaintances or people that you're not very close to. Sometimes you also get that from those people, because it's an outside perspective. They're not going to be jaded to your point of view. They'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, he's my friend, so I can't really. Sometimes you really do need just that person to just kind of kick you in the ass and just be like, hey, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was something that we talked about, on certain situations, just being able to outright, like, coming out and saying things and putting that. But it also comes with the type of confrontationalist that you are, because there's different types. And I feel like that's very important for you to understand the type of person that you are, where you can go, how you can, de-stress and be able to say, hey, you know what, I don't know you, you're not my friend, but at the same time, I have to be able to tell you, hey, you know what, you're messing up. And so I feel like that's important, as well as having that really good support of friends, and
Mm-hmm.
being like, hey, I'm your friend, tell me what's going on,
Yeah.
And so I think that we should be able to grab advice from all different points of life, not just from just not just from the people that we want to hear it from. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of wrapping on. I think I was trying to get across is that we should be able to be. Yeah, I think people get caught up a lot in the words good and evil, but we should know the extent of our good and our evil. You should know the extent of your evil, so you can know that, so you can then work to see your greatest good. I feel,
Yeah.
and if your friend can kind of demonstrate their own evil in front of you, then that kind of allows you some ability to do good yourself. And
Yeah.
you can do that in the same way for them. And I think people very often they glad hand each other, they pat each other on the back. It's all soft and easy and good feelings. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but that's not real life, and
Yeah.
you need to be able to live in the real world.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank you very much for today. If it looked like I felt uncomfortable, honestly, I do appreciate our entire conversation genuinely.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm here whenever you need it. I know that I'm one of the biggest people that can actually see, hey, what? Are you okay? It's like I know you differently, and I feel like I've said this several times to many people. It's like your relationship with this person or your relationship with this person, that's your guys' relationship, but this is my relationship with that person. And I don't feel like we should be able to cross paths. Like my relationship to you might not be the same thing in relationship to another person, but at the same time, my relationship to that person shouldn't cross the other. It's like it should be a separate thing, unless we all talk about it, unless we all understand that this is going to be something that's going to be closer. And so I feel like we need to be able to have that respect of boundary, between that. So whatever you need, man. Honestly, hopefully you got a lot out of it. I mean, I had a lot of fun. And besides that, I mean, we did the coffee shop thing.
Yeah,
we
that was
talked about
fun.
it.
That was fun.
And then afterwards, we were supposed to go hammocking and go rollerblading because Robin just recently got a couple. She got rollerblades, so she's super excited about that.
Was that a spin on the most recent roller thing that went on with Jill's birthday? Is that like a spin on that?
Yes, yes. We went to go and hang out with a friend, and she had her cute birthday, 1980s style birthday, and it was great. Everybody, was having fun and everything. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Robin is that she's super hard-headed about things sometimes, but to a good way. She got on there and she was super scared, and then she got really mad about it because she's like, I don't like these skates, but I'm going to learn how to do it. And so she went on there, and then by the end of it, she was rolling around. And then we went home, and she's like, you realize that now I need to go and get rollerblades. And so I was like, okay, so for the last, I don't know, since the birthday, she's been talking about is rollerblades.
Ah, it's sick. I got a few opportunities when I was living in LA to go down to Venice, and dude, that's a great beach path. I'm more used to the one in Long Beach, but up in Venice, it's like cuts up the coast, like through Santa Monica. You can take it way far south. There's another beach path that's gorgeous, Manhattan Beach. I love all the LA beaches. I feel like there's the beach path in Orange County is not that enjoyable. It's not really as widespread.
Yeah.
But fuck, you can really enjoy yourself during the summer and even in the off time.
Yeah.
Right? Time.
So we recently got hammocks to be able to kind of chill out. So Huntington Beach is really good. They have this really nice area to go and do that. So that's another reason why we wanted to go out and do that. Cool. And then after that, and then we have to talk about the movie.
Deal, yes.
So yes, okay. After all of that, we have to talk about the movie. So what was the movie that you recently watched?
You popped the question. Have you seen Hedwig and the Angry Inch? And I said no. And my pardon, you and Robin freaked. And now I know why.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Oh my God!
Let's look up some info about it. That's so that we know what's going on.
I'll say right now that someone over 15 years ago had told me to check this out. A bunch of theater kids. Totally not at that time in my life was I ever gonna see it just because of circumstances. But it just fucking awesome.
Right?
And especially for me at the time of my life, to see
Right?
something like that was
I
fuck.
told you.
Yeah.
I told you it was gonna melt your brain.
Oh, it was
Okay,
fantastic.
so Hedwig and the Angry Inch. It was in 2001 drama. It's a cult movie.
Mm.
90 people like this. And so the whole premise is a German immigrant living in a trailer in Kansas is a victim of a botched sex change. Adopted from critically acclaimed off-Broadway rock theater hit, Hedwig and the Angry Inch tells the story about internationally ignored rock singer Hedwig in her search for stardom and love. Does that does
That's
that conclude everything?
oh
Is
yeah,
that
that sums it up beautifully. But I think the tragedy heightens the love and value
wait, the
of
tragedy? I
life.
don't like. What do you mean by
Oh, well,
tragedy?
I think to live that way. Okay, the song that I think kind of you made a point about,
Yeah,
and how human beings are, essentially split,
yeah,
right? That's pulled in part, I believe, from a Greek myth,
yeah.
right?
Like there's
Yeah,
she. I mean, I want to use the proper
sure. No, no, no. I mean,
terminology.
being, hey, we're being social
Hedwig, we're
justice
trying to be
warriors right
social
now.
right
We
there.
better watch
All right,
out.
all right, all right. No, no, no. Hedwig. Let's just say Hedwig.
Sure.
Hedwig pulls a lot from. I mean, you even saw that there's little tidbits. It's such a smart movie because it makes sure that you know that Hedwig is smart. There's an
Mm-hmm.
IQ there, but it's not the way that you perceive it. You know, they were talking about how he was showing a class and how he like, and then at the end it wasn't received because of how critical it was, and then
Mm-hmm.
he got kicked out of school and all this other stuff. So the lyrics, just the lyrics and the mixture of everything is super smart, and it pulls from a lot of different sources and where
Certainly.
it comes, and it creates its own um, unique view on what life and love is.
I think that song in particular is probably like the second or third major track
I
in
think it's the
the.
second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, that
So
it
yeah.
first pulls from kind of Greek myth
Uh-huh.
and how humans were split up
Yeah.
by the gods lest they be too powerful, for one thing. I think that's the original Greek myth side of it. But that you can equate as well to, um, I think, Adam and Eve, I think, and then knowing good and evil
Yeah.
in part. Um, there's a certain tragedy in being split, in knowing good and evil.
Yeah.
And yet there seems to be some sort of we might say greater good. I just want to say there's good in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that in tragedy there is a mirrored good to the other side of it, and
Yeah.
so um, I think sometimes in our own modern life or life in general, things can be very blasé. They can be very lackadaisical. Things can become too easy or simplistic. We're always stuck on our phones or we're always just chasing money,
Yeah.
and even tragedy, I mean, that might be the tragedy that we're stuck doing that. And sometimes you need real tragedy, whether it's your existential condition or the loss of love,
Yeah.
to juxtapose, my tongue's all tied, juxtapose the other aspects of life that
Yeah.
seem to heighten it. And so I think the tragedy of Hedwig's situation being this boxed, botched surgical transsexual individual,
Yeah.
um, her whole character is tragic, and you see her development or description of her development from a child
Yeah.
to an adult, and that even is tragic, I would say.
It's super tragic. I
Yeah.
mean, just the the sentiment behind it and the way that the actor was, just the acting behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole scene where where his front man comes in and says, "I have the part." and
Oh,
Hedwig says nothing through the whole scene. If you notice, it says nothing, and it's all facial features, and it just blew my mind away. I thought it was great acting. Um, it says a lot about the human condition, obviously, and where we are, and how we try to tread ourselves and pull ourselves up. I mean, you saw. I put on my makeup, which is another one of the biggest tracks. Is in the end of the day, you still have to move forward,
yeah.
and you still have to be that rock star that you need to know, and that you need to be sure your life is shit, but there's no other way but forward. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, and that's why um, Hedwig is such a strong character in the beginning. It's like anything that Hedwig does in that movie is super strong and super, about moving forward and
Mhm.
going through it, which is interesting because the first thing that her mother says is, it's better to be powerless. But then that she gains that power back, like she creates her own power and says, you know what, fuck it. I'd be left by my mom, I'd be left by my guy, and I'm going to create some sort of path in front of me. The only way that I can do that is if I have that power.
I think that's something else that I kind of caught on to, that you manifest your destiny. I think if you're given power, and we can equate that to today with money, wealth, all the other things that people can just be given
Yeah,
from the get-go, you don't really. There's very little. There is the possibility, deep possibility, it seems, that you develop poorly, perhaps.
yeah,
That if you're just born with these qualities given to you, you don't develop yourself.
yeah,
You don't develop, I would argue, real power, and you're not kind of fully fleshed out as who you could be. But if you kind of are forced to undergo a tragic life, then I feel that there's the possibility that what you are has more potential to become.
yeah,
And so I found it not just the fact that I came out transgender and I started figuring out my own life, but I think just in a wider concept, a lot of other people they don't think to become who they are very often. They're very
mm-hmm.
much, they become their mother, they become their father, they become this or that, or they become something. Well, that is what they are, but not completely who they could be.
Yeah,
And so I think this is a film that very much fleshes that out. It's a character who kind of undergoes such a tragic life. It really is a good example, I think, to demonstrate how you can keep going, for one thing,
yeah,
what life looks like when you keep going.
mm-hmm.
I mean, most people would be horrified at that life, and yet the person who lives it has to keep going, has to live it, is living it.
Yeah,
That's, I think, something that demonstrates. So I think people today, they're very much, oh, you're living your truth. And it's like, damn, the truth is fucking ugly, but more than often is painful sometimes,
well,
very painful. And that's part of the tragedy.
yeah. And overall, do you think that this movie was a comedy or a tragedy?
Tragedy.
Really?
Yes. I mean, okay.
Yeah,
We'll go back and forth. We'll go back
okay,
and forth.
okay. No. I want defend your point.
I will. Okay. So, in my mind, there's comedic relief in the telling of the story.
Yeah.
I think that's integral to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much how you communicate the story itself. I think the movie is a tragedy, or if I may, it's a drama which uses comedy to alleviate the tragedy of life, or
Yeah.
to put it in one sentence.
Okay.
So I think the movie is a tragedy, because I think in a tragedy, it doesn't need to crush the hero in the end necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it does use that tragic trope to, I think, fully demonstrate the human condition.
Okay. All right. I feel like it was definitely a comedy
Okay.
because in the end he was able to find his self. He was able to complete himself in the end. which was the whole journey, hero's journey, if you may. So like he was lost, he was broken, he knew his other half, perhaps, and then in the end, it turned out that it wasn't fully the other person. He was complete himself, and so he needed to complete himself and move forward from it. But we just needed that closure, which is essentially in most relationships, you really do need that closure. If something,
Yes.
just turns out to be something like that, then I feel like that's why he was so obsessed with Tommy Gnosis the whole time.
Yeah.
It was because there was no closure. But I think it was. I think it was definitely a movie about closure, about trying to find, we need to end this correctly instead of the way that it was. And in the end, he was able to find himself, and it ended up being a happy ending. So that's the reason why I want to say that it was a comedy.
I don't know if I can really argue with that. I think that is
right?
Yeah, that's correct. I think that is correct.
So this was a Broadway musical. It was actually a one-man Broadway musical, at least from what I remember, and it actually did a really, really good job. Like it was critically acclaimed and it went through, and it did really, really well in the box office. So you should. I think that it still might be going on off Broadway, but we'll see what happens. Hi,
she
and she
returns.
comes.
She returns.
She
Yay.
comes into the fold.
Are you guys playing wizard chess?
We are.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Ugh.
Pull up a chair again.
Yeah.
Is it my turn or yours?
I think it's your turn.
All right. I'm moving.
Okay.
But
yeah, it was. Are you be chilling with us?
Yes, I'm gonna come right back. I just gotta take some boxes out to the trash so now.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Definitely. We got to do some of the sad work there.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Life still happens.
Yeah.
Life doesn't stop for podcasts.
No.
God, I want to make this a regular thing if we can.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's people I want to have. I mean, the work people are great, and I want to have certain characters back on, but it's always fantastic, I think, to reach out, find new people. An old, probably my first friend, Brianne Cole. Her family's going through some stuff right now, but she just recently reached out through my Instagram, and like she's commenting on my transition. I'm kind of commenting back, appreciating her, acknowledging what she's going through, and so like we're gonna set up something where we catch up and we're gonna do a podcast. And so I'm starting to slowly branch out.
That would be that would be really good.
And there's been a few other people that I've come into contact with. There's like this illustrator from Michael Kipp. He's on Instagram. I've taken like the lift from him like a dozen times.
Yeah.
He just always seems to be available at the times I use the lift, and he's got like multiple graphic novels worth of illustrations.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, he's this older guy. He's this really chill guy from
Just be able to just kind of just pick up and play.
Yeah,
and just go from there.
it's fantastic. There's such like an easy going conversation between us. We usually talk fantasy, Star Wars. It's just really great to find a really interesting artistic character open to talk, and so to get him on the podcast would be really fantastic. Because I found that, I mean, you must also feel this in the serving industry. You find that you're able to talk to all types.
Oh yeah,
right?
You lose that big part of you that gets a little bit scared of talking to people. I mean, at least for me, I don't know. I can really talk to a lot of the servers, but at least for me, that fear, like within the first like 3 years, I was starting to serve, like that went away. That was a big part of me where I was like, maybe I don't want to talk, I don't want to bother them, but at the same time, it's you just jump in and you're like, do you guys want to play a game?
I found I'm sure when you like first enter a staff, like you're a little like, some people throw their weight around, and then some people are a little more hesitant.
Yeah.
And it takes some time to kind of feel things out. I was just thinking about Carrie Ann, for example, how when she first got there, she didn't get a lot of recognition at her store,
Mm-hmm.
and then in no time, she rock star,
Yeah.
right? She could own any section. She was friends with the best people.
I think it's
Really fantastic.
I think it's to say that um, it's really interesting because where we're at, um, there's a lot of moving parts, and so I feel like there might be a lot of people that get kind of left out of the spotlight a little bit,
Yes,
and
certainly.
it's it's just a work environment that just kind of happens. At least in my in my experience, I have seen it's just that there's just a lot going on. At any given time, anywhere, any place, there's just a lot going on, and so I feel like there's a lot of people that should get recognition that don't get that recognition, and I feel like that's important as well. But it's like until the business starts going down a little bit, I feel like that's not gonna be the case, and it's only gonna get more and more busy
You're
as
right.
that place. I mean, there's going to be a hotel that's going to be opening up pretty soon in that
Right.
area, and there's going to be, we're only getting bigger when it comes to like tourism and a bunch of other
Correct. Yeah.
stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
Anaheim has this huge tourism uh, like culture, and so we just get right there, and there it's just going to be opening up more and more and
Yeah.
more and more. And so I feel like unless we get a ton more managers, or unless we get a ton more, so like if the servers ever do leave or anything like that, I think that's just going to continue being the culture right now, which is
Yeah.
it's unfortunate to say. I mean, somewhat, but it's just business.
It is business, but I think you hit a certain point that I want to bring back to for just a moment. People not getting recognition. I want to say on a deeper psychological, existential aspect, all human beings crave consideration.
Yeah.
Like we're all, I mean, we even can't help it.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are more aware probably are able to kind of take care of themselves enough that it doesn't, it's not this awful existential angst. Whereas other people, it really bothers you, no doubt. I think in some cases, many cases, I think most people are locked up in this problem where social media probably is some of the only consideration they get.
Yeah.
I
And I
think
mean,
today, and so
and there's a lot of things that are coming up right now with social media that is trying to change it. I mean, wasn't it like Instagram was trying to take the like button away for a long
yeah,
time, and there's a lot of things like that are kind of moving forward and trying to um, change the status quo on what recognition should be through social media, and how people crave that and want that and move forward on that. And I think it should be. I think that one of the biggest things I feel like is self love, which I fully an advocate for. So like, you should be able to find something of yourself and be able to look at yourself and say, hey, you know what, this is something that I enjoy about myself, and you shouldn't be ashamed of that feeling of loving yourself. Which, I mean, I keep saying it. It's a you're the only person that you will ever live with for the rest of your life.
see, that's beautiful, and I think that can kind of cap in part the Hedwig and the Angry Inch, because at the end of the film, Hedwig is completed,
Yeah.
and I think that's the most beautiful thing. I think that love. I think what was the kind of the middle of the film with Johnny knows this, like it's eternal or it lasts. What was that?
That love is eternal.
Yeah, I think
because it creates something, and he was Nas's. It's really interesting to kind of see something like that, because you see this person that's well and fully developed, and it talks about, what do they talk about? They talk about trying to make Johnny Gnosis understand what love is, because Johnny Gnosis is this kid, and all he wants to do is just play music and just have fun from that point of view. And he wants to know, he wants to get out there, and he wants to understand this, but it's such a concept to understand unless you've been broken. And you have somebody that's so green like that they don't understand that concept because they've never been broken, they've never been jaded. I feel like people who are jaded, people who have actually seen the world for the way that it is, and sometimes how ugly it can be are the people that understand what love is truly.
Yeah, and I think you have to go there long
Yeah.
before you complete yourself.
But I mean,
Yeah.
that's life, you know.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
You should let life just teach you these things, and it's unfortunate because life is just full of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'd all be better off learning from each other. But I think that I think very often people didn't know these things, so um, like this wasn't really part of the Zeitgeist. It wasn't really widely discussed. I think the information age and the fact that these kind of issues are becoming more socially relevant, social media is also kind of expanding our connections.
Mhm.
And I think it kind of wrap us back around to Requiem, where social media can only give you so much, but it did connect us enough to get to a location
Mhm.
where we could then interact with people who were strangers. I mean, we talked to Tina and Chris,
Yeah.
and we found mutual friends right there.
Yeah.
Like that we.
And that was the
was
first
it
thing they're
Victor-
like,
was it Victoria?
we need to get your number like right away. And I
Right,
was
right.
like, oh, you guys are really cool.
Which Victoria was that? Vicky
Vicky
S,
S,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Holy shit, small world.
Yeah, so we found so the person that we hung out with at this place, apparently he knew one of our workers that we work with from long days gone by, and and it was really interesting to actually they're like, oh, you know this person? I'm like, yeah, we hang out with her all the time, and like, oh, small world. It's those connections, those really good things. And he was like, oh, so I know now that you're a cool person because you hung out with this person and this person. It's like all you can do is just be like, you know what? Yeah, let's be friends. So I think that's really cool. Oh man, it was it's been a really good day. Honestly, it was really. I'm glad you came out and hung out with us, and we got to experience a little bit of something that's a little out of ordinary because it doesn't really happen that often for us either, And we were able to go out there and experience something new and have fun and just enjoy good company. So
Thank you. No, it was a pleasure,
Yeah.
and I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah.
And I'd like to make it as regular thing as we can. I
yeah,
think it's life doesn't stop, but I mean, even though things change, we shouldn't give up on making time for ourselves.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is with each other, because I think that's what gets you through. We were just discussing that, it's being in the world, being with people that allows you to find yourself, be yourself, continually build yourself.
yeah,
I think very often the natural description of life, you're a child, go to school, you work, get married, have kids, repeat cycle.
Yeah.
You're alone at the end and you die. Right? I think that's perhaps unhealthy. I think that, and I've riffed a lot on this in my Instagram in the past, the equal friend.
Mhm.
Really building that, right? Finding equals in the world will probably, provide you with people that you can respect in your life that are going to help you grow more than other people.
Yeah.
Because adversaries can be more powerful than you, and that's a challenge. It's like a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
But the equal friend is someone that because I wouldn't say that you would respect your enemy, but you would respect your friend.
I think you should also respect your enemy. I mean, that's another conversation.
That is
really,
we can go somewhere with that one. Yeah.
But
Keep your
yes.
enemies,
keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Most
Shit.
definitely.
Oh yeah, live that one. Live that one. Oh my god. Did you just go?
I did.
Okay, I'll find a spot to go to in a second.
Yes, trying to find equal footing with people is very important. Most definitely. It just puts you in a better place. It just puts you in a good place socially, and it lets you be able to see the different parts of the people that are around you. The biggest thing, at least, to try to understand your own culture. By that, I mean the circle that you're in. whether it be your work or your family or anything like that, you have to try to understand the people that are around you to a degree that they allow you to understand them, because people have their privacy and they want to keep that, and that's fine, that's their right.
Right.
But it is important to be able to understand what they give off, so that you're able to acknowledge that. Let's talk about acknowledgement. It's like just acknowledging someone and the way that they are and how they work within your own culture. That's a sort of acknowledgement to that person, and it comes in all different forms. It's like, what do I do that will affect somebody else, and what do they do that will affect me? Because that's also super important. Because it makes a better equal footing. You're talking about that equalness. You're talking about that same sense. If you understand each other, there's less likely to be a misunderstanding.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why equal friends or equal footing for anyone is a must, to be able to give that person a benefit of the doubt, or to be able to say, hey, you know what, like, this is your boundary, this is where you're going for, and I'm not going to cross it or anything like that, so that we can move forward and be better people together. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think that it's important to be able to have equal friends. Most definitely. 100%. It makes you a better person to understand better people.
Yes,
Right?
yeah. And I don't think that you could just have them in a simplistic way. You definitely build them over time, and you probably have to experience even negative friends.
Yeah.
People who aren't good to you.
Yeah.
Over a period of time to first realize, okay, these were dog shit people that I was kind of just ended up with.
Oh, most
and
definitely.
I went through a series of groups.
Has had that, yeah.
Well, I think some people get stuck in them.
Well, yeah,
right? They must get stuck.
They get stuck for whatever reason that they need to still feel that validation or anything like that. I've known groups that keep friends just so that they can poke fun at them, and those friends feel like that's the only thing that they can offer, is just to be the clown of the group, or to be just a pincushion.
And they're accepted in that situation,
but
right?
that they accept themselves as that.
Yeah, so they're selling themselves short. They're selling themselves short, yeah.
Because that's all the validation that they've been given.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that they know, and so that's the only thing that they can play off.
Self-deprecating humor.
Yeah. But it's that deprecation, and it's that knowledge that you are less because of the type of reactions that you're getting, but unknowingly knowing that you're less. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. It's talking about really doing something that you don't understand about yourself, and that's why it's important to understand about yourself, so that you can know what your limits are and what is something that will benefit you and make you better. So like the betterment of yourself is something that is very important, at least to me.
I'm in touch with that one.
Yeah.
I'm living it a while. I think that there is a good to be found in that betterment. There's a good to be found in a lot of bad. Mm-hmm. I think very often we always get caught up in just the bad, and it's a struggle. It's always a struggle still, in fact. Like, I think that you can be a really hard person but still suffer from anxiety, and so that can stop you from, at some point perhaps, continually growing. I think that happens a lot. People get, I've heard it described in a book in philosophical terms, that it's physiological exhaustion. Mm-hmm. That you could happen early, but you reach a critical point in your life where, rather than, it's a climax, right?
Yeah.
Where it's now, even with some power, you're starting to degrade over time.
Yeah.
At some point perhaps the value of your family, maybe, or the value of your career path, or the value of the diet, or whatever, or health issues. If there's whatever reason you've plateaued, and now you're kind of no longer even coasting. Now you're slowly kind of falling apart over time, and maybe the career person you were is falling apart,
Well,
and
it's
you're still stuck in that position.
the mental chipping,
Yeah,
the
it's
little
mental.
the
I
little
think
things over time, and
it's like a symbiotic issue. It's that if the body's not okay, the mind is likely not okay, and vice versa. They're both connected, I think.
yeah.
So I think that there's very much that issue, and honestly, you should be kind of honest about that. That's why I got onto supplements,
Yeah.
and for the most part, I toned back the drinking to a large degree. I think a lot of people do catch on to this naturally, though, where they go through having a crazy 20s, and then they tone down. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it can be also it can be money issues, or it can be, you know what, it's just not just fun anymore, or it's not hitting me the right way.
Right.
I think you can either go the complete opposite way and just say, it's not hitting me anymore, so I need to do more, or you get to the point where it's like it's not hitting me anymore, so maybe it's not for me anymore. You know, and I think at least a lot of the people that I've come across with are more on this side. It's not like it's not hitting me anymore. It's not a thing that I can say for me at least. It's it just when it comes to alcohol or anything like that, like I've toned it down a lot. Like I still drink. I still drink, but it's to the point where it's just I'm either just drinking because I'm drinking, or I'm blacked out. Like there's no buzz. There's no buzz anymore for me. And it's either I'm just drinking it and I don't feel anything, or I'm blacked out and I was like, fuck, I did something stupid. And that's not fun either, because blacking out is not something that's
I've done some stupid shit blacked out.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you start to kind of hate yourself a little bit about it, and you don't feel very right. You know, like that wasn't me. That wasn't, that I would have never done something like that, or blah blah blah. And it really puts you in a nice little perspective there. So
I'm always shocked when you see like that much older person, and it's like a cockroach. Like nothing affects them. You know, like they're gnarled wood. They're a steel fucking table. You know, like. They're choking down cigarettes at 70 and nothing, and they're just
nothing.
Yeah, they're just
nothing
cruising.
for them.
You know, they're just. Ah, man, I'm always stunned by those people.
I already left it. No, I left it. I messed up. Go for it.
Well, you know what? I can't pass it up, but I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen at the same time. So, life just happens sometimes, right? So, there we go.
Just like that. It's horse to horse.
Equal. That's equal.
Equal.
Yeah. Shit. I don't know if J.K. Rowling described them like this, but I love how this is like the movie.
I think this was the Warner Brothers style of
right. That's what I mean. It's like, so we wouldn't have this unless, like, what was her vision, right? Like that. I wonder.
Well, like how they moved on, like where she was going for and stuff.
Well, yeah, because she only wrote so much. I wonder how much she described this on set, or if she gave them full artistic license.
I think she probably went in there and they're like, oh, I like this, I like this, I don't like this. Nice. But yeah, what were we talking about again?
We were just, I think, riffing on how people can be as much like cockroaches as...
Oh, yes. Where just like nothing affects them anymore. Like that's just but that's the thing. It's like maybe that's the trick of growing up and being to the point where you're like, I just like something because I like something, not because it makes me do something. Right?
See, I think at the same time. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
Well, I was going to say there's also the flip side where you find people they catch on to making healthiness their new drug. Right? Like, so let's say you get off everything in your 20s, right? Now you're on like this health kick instead.
Yeah, but
that's like a drug in itself.
But that also has a plateau.
that's. I mean, that's what I'm
You
saying.
know,
It's your
you
new
get
drug. And
you get a lot of
it
people
takes you
that
to the same place.
that get into a lot of working out and a lot of doing
Clean
clean
eating.
eating and
I'm
a
on
bunch
this
of stuff. Yeah.
diet. I met this yogi. I do yoga 10 times a week.
Yep.
I can kiss my anus. All this crazy shit, right?
Yeah. To say the least. Yes.
Oh shit.
But I think I fucked up. Oh well. So,
I don't see it, so you're fortunate.
C'est la vie. Yeah, I think that even stuff like that, you plateau, and I think that you need to just do something because you like it. I feel.
No, that's
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, no, I
like
do.
those cockroaches.
I do.
Let's talk about those cockroaches. You have
Ooh, yeah.
you have that one type of person that will drink cigars and drink scotch. That person actually likes the taste of scotch, and that person actually likes the taste of cigars. And I don't know if you ever had scotch or cigars. Scotch tastes like pine sol first and foremost, and it's she's gonna grow up and be a cockroach. I know it. To me, it tastes like pine sol. It tastes like
I'm not a Scotch
the
person.
liquid that you use in order to clean the floors. That's what it tastes like.
It's too potent to me.
And-
like a nice sipping whiskey.
And cigars are fun for the first 5 puffs, and then after that, you realize I have to smoke the cigar.
I'll chew on that motherfucker.
You know,
for a quick
I
minute
don't
and pass
chew.
it
What,
around.
do you chew on cigars?
Well, no, but I mean, it's like there's a certain kind of oral fixation that's fixed, and you look cool as fuck with a stogie, right?
I mean,
So it's like, I'm gonna chew on this like a Shinopinic Panatella.
Okay.
That's a fucking nice cigar. So I'll chew on that son of a bitch for a quick minute, and then I'll pass it around. It's never something I'll just have on my own. It's definitely a party piece,
Okay.
right? That's what I mean. Like a hookah, you wouldn't just do that by yourself. That's a party thing. Same thing for a cigar for me. I think some people, though, they have to fucking own it, right? Like, I was just catching up on. Are you guys familiar with R. Kelly?
Yeah, peeing on a girl.
He's big. Yeah, well, if you're that's called a golden shower. You ever done that?
Yeah, but not on a 12-year-old.
Well, I wouldn't do that either. With a consenting adult, hard pardon. This happens in the shower sometimes. I bet most people. It probably isn't a funny story for most people. It's more like, I'm just going to go in the shower. It just happens that we're both, we did the deed last night.
Oh, no. I am all for kink. If that's your thing, and, different strokes for different folks, go for it. Whatever and stuff like that. But whether he did it or whether he did not, it's just funny to be able. I mean, okay, let's serious on that fucking R. Kelly.
He's socially relevant. Let's get on it.
It's just really interesting because the funniness comes from the fact that he gets so irate at what's going on. I think that's what people gravitate to that net. Like it's just us being assholes and looking at somebody's life being just destroyed because he may or may not have done it. If he did it, he's a piece of shit. Okay, that's great. But if he didn't do it, I mean, it's kind of shitty, for us to kind of laugh at him, but we still do it because it's the way that he's progressing, the way that he's doing it is comedic. It's like
it looks it's so bad, but you can't not be entertained at the same time.
Oh, it's a car crash.
Yeah, and that's it. You very much want to watch it. Like we were just touching on Hedwig and the Angry Inch being a tragedy or comedy. I think R. Kelly, what he's done in his career is, it's right in the middle, right? Like it comes that's what I was getting at. Real talk. Are you familiar with Real Talk?
No.
Okay, I don't have the ability to pull it up while we're also casting.
Okay.
But it's part. I caught this on someone else's podcast, and I was blown away because it's. I feel like it's very. I don't want to say the word true, but it's very relevant. It's like some decent art on his part, but it's in the same vein as his entire career, where it's this kind of atrocious car crash, and I love it. He starts, and this is why I brought it up. He starts by pouring himself a drink.
Yeah.
And he pulls out a cigar.
Oh my gosh.
All right, he's got this sequined jacket on, And he
and then,
starts riffing.
and then he's real talk.
And that's his thing. And it's he's like singing it, but he's riffing. It's bad, beautiful, beautiful bad. Like it's like a boyfriend and girlfriend going back and forth, but he's only doing the boyfriend side to this girl bitching him out. And it's just like, if you've ever been around a relationship or you've had the friend in the bad relationship where you just observe it in public,
Most definitely.
he just totally pulls it fucking off.
Okay.
And so that's what he's like riffing on. Real talk, right? Like, let's get this real talk. And it's so bad that it's fan-fucking-tastic. And
Well, you're gonna have to send me a link because
I will.
I'm all for a good car crash.
God, it's tragic, funny, tragic good. It's art. It really is art. And so,
Well, okay, so then if we're talking about art, do you think that Kanye West is art?
most definitely.
The way that he's going for that.
Do you think it's real? Here's something. A lot of people think that it's all purely constructed.
Well, isn't art all purely constructed?
Yes, I would say that.
Okay, so then in that sense, if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, is it a duck?
I think that a lot of people want to get on like the like he's just messed up in the head or he's just self-centered, and I think a lot of the psychological crap people throw on him and other artists probably. I mean, these people have an ungodly amount of attention. Even the earliest rock stars who didn't deal with what we deal with today, that's an ungodly amount of attention. No wonder they have to cope with drugs and alcohol.
But it's just the fact that you have a lot of attention coming at you? Is that's the deprecating part about it?
Well, I think that, see, we're all
Or is it
caught
the
up.
type of person that you need to be able to accept some sort of attention and not be able to be like, because okay, so if we're talking about artists. The one big thing that I remember hearing Justin Bieber. So
Mhm.
let's just talk about that guy.
Sure.
He was on YouTube. He got his fame a lot with YouTuber, from what I remember. Um, and one of the biggest things that I heard him say is something about, he just lives in a fishbowl. You should just leave him alone. And then I started kind of thinking about that. It's like, so you live in a fishbowl. You can't really do anything else other than that fishbowl, and everybody is just staring at you the whole time. And you can't hide away. You can't do anything about it. It's like, is that? I mean, obviously, I've never been in that situation, but is that situation that deprecating to the point where you need to start doing drugs, or to the point where even suicide is an option? Because you see that a lot. It's like in Kurt Cobain was one of the biggest one of the biggest things that comes to mind is, just the fact that he had so many admirers that was daunting to him. Daunting to the fact that it, like, and a lot of people say that, that Courtney Love was the reason why, or that she killed him and whatnot. But let's just go with the fact that he may have just killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
That there's no conspiracy theory or anything like that. Is that enough? Is that enough to be daunting, or is it just person to person? It's not like it's just another person that couldn't deal with something, and he didn't have the right tools in order to do that, and then just went through that. So I mean, like, what is it about that attention that's too much? Like, what is it about attention that's dangerous?
I think there's two aspects to that. One of them is we very often forget the evolutionary biological side of what we are. I think we're only designed for much smaller tribal groups. A couple family groups that can then congregate with another small set of tribes. So only a few hundred people realistically are supposed to be functioning together on an evolutionary biological basis. We create these huge fucking cities filled with millions of people, and it's nuts. Like, I think about New York and how fucking crazy that really is when you really think about what we are.
Yeah.
We're some sort of advanced primate that can think a lot and build shit and go to the moon. My pardon, I think we really forget what we are. We just think like, well, I'm a human being and that's it. No, you're like an advanced organism, but you have a lot of lizard brain shit still locked up inside you, right? So I think we forget that very much. And I don't think, because we forget that too, we're probably not educated that we live at our own peril when we forget these things or we're not conscious of these things. Now, the second part of that, even with all the examples prior, failed artists, failed movie stars, so on and so forth, a lot of these people who get to this point, let's say we're using the example of Justin Bieber,
Mhm.
and you look at people falling apart, either like Kanye or R. Kelly, and some of them are mad successful. I think Kanye's more on the successful side. R. Kelly's done, I think, enough stuff on his own time that is now biting him in the ass.
Yeah.
Bieber, out of the three, probably he's just, he's not getting in trouble. He's just moving, right?
Yeah.
He's just hustling, and it looks like he's got a group of minders, that are keeping him out of the worst shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is good. I mean,
Right.
being able to kind of mitigate the things that you can do is just
yes, that's an important problem right there.
It is, but here's the thing: it's all like, so you can either pay somebody, and maybe I don't. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how that world works, nor do I try to pretend how that world works. But to me, it would seem like if I had enough influence like that, I would be able to have that amount. Like, I would be able to have people to follow me around and tell me not to do it, like life coaches. Like, how many life coaches do you think that he has to tell him, hey, no, don't do that?
Well, I'm sure that he's got like a group of people around him, but I think the lifestyle that he lives it makes no sense. Like, I bet he just asks anybody for anything and it happens.
Yeah.
That's where he's at. He's in a fishbowl where he has a nucleus of power and power because of his wealth,
Yeah.
right, and fame. So he just asks for something and it happens, right?
Yeah.
One tomorrow. I mean, I just think about like the crazy shit that happens when you have power, like people with like crazy ass pets, like lions and tigers. Like, that's ridiculous, but it happens, right? Like, I've got a cheetah in my Mercedes wagon with me. I'm a baller, right? Yes, that's true. That's true.
Oh
That's
my
so
gosh.
true, right? So, I mean, there's just people just live like that today.
One of my favorite sayings that I grew up with was, give a person $1 million and you'll truly see who they are.
Yeah, see, that's a thing. Like, I wonder, like the president, like, I mean, who could he have been if he had to work for what he has?
Oh my God,
Right?
He would have been
So
at the
different.
bottom of the barrel. He would have been copy boy.
Well, we don't know that he didn't have to struggle.
Yeah, I know,
to
but that's
get
the
somewhere.
thing. But if there was struggle behind it, if there was something that, yeah, I maybe he would have been a little bit more down to earth, maybe a little bit more,
Exhausted.
cranky, exhausted. Maybe he would have
Yeah.
just been like middle management, probably.
I feel like he'd be my dad.
I don't know your father very well, so
My dad got upset when I told him that he's just like the president. He was like, "Well, I'm insulted by that. He's a liar. He's a this, that, and the other." I'm like, he kind of just described himself, and so we kind of sat there in silence for a minute, and he kind of got sad, upset at that point. It's very interesting.
Oh no.
Yeah, we have a better relationship now, strangely. Truth hurts.
It does.
Truth hurts.
It does.
Right?
It
So
does.
that's what I mean. Truth does hurt. I think we started R. Kelly and we got into this fame thing.
Okay. So he has the whole talk, like the real talk thing with the cigars and the scotch. So
it's worth checking out off the Senate too. It's really just like 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe.
All right.
It's fantastic. You got to watch the video. It's not just like a thing you would listen to.
Got it.
Definitely check it out.
So R. Kelly, cockroach. Got it. Nice.
Well, I wouldn't say he's a cockroach, but he certainly has. He's got lasting power.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, he's been around a while now. I feel like R. Kelly's what, a '90s artist or post 2000 or I think he was out of the '90s, wasn't he?
R. Kelly?
Yeah, I thought he was.
Maybe. I mean, I could just put in R. Kelly.
Like, Kanye is early 2000s, I feel. I think R. Kelly was before.
Street performing, 1980s, debuted 1992. Announcement 93, went solo album, 12 play. Let's see. Trapped in a Closet, premiere. Let's see. Career information, personal. Yeah, 99. U.S. Field China, highest career award. So it looks about around like 97, 98.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's put some time in.
Yeah.
He's put some time in the mine. I mean, he certainly got far. You don't like develop a harem of underage girls if you don't got some cash.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
no, it's so bad. Why?
He had to pee on somebody.
You know what? I completely agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh my God. You know what? Like hosing someone down is better when it's spontaneous the next morning. Garrett would agree.
Garrett.
Chachi's on my side on this one.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh,
no,
goodness.
No.
I can make that motherfucker laugh.
Like I said, if you have that kink, by all means, go for it. That is all on you.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
No. I think that an artist like that is. Wait, can I go like that? I'm getting all my chest rolls messed up. Oh shit! I'm in trouble now.
Going an impasse here.
Yeah, does this feel like I feel like I'm gonna have to sacrifice something to keep moving at this point? Oh shit!
Well,
I'm gonna have to make a move that's gonna be a little safe on this moment for this moment. Oh, sorry, little. Turn around. Right on.
all right. I feel like with that move, we should end it.
Okay, no,
It's been good.
Yes.
We talked about different stuff for different folks. We talked about cockroaches and liking and moving forward. Movies, games. Obviously, you're playing this. And, yeah.
I think this was a good example for life. You kind of got to keep moving and be willing to sacrifice something from time to time.
Every now and then.
Oh, yes. Ivan, it's been a pleasure. I want to keep doing this. It's late, so I know we're both being kept up by it, but I'd like to keep hanging out. I want to keep doing podcasts.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you and Robin on again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again.
No, it's a pleasure.
It's been fun.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Peace.